true for our exchange too, so I'm not going to recover what he did. We're just going to kind of move on. Our goal is to work with getting the best management on the ground. And management is not only for people that are actively out there putting the fire on the ground, but management includes a lot of other things too. So for us, it also includes policy. It includes all the things that might keep fire from being applied. And in Joe's talk, he talked about, well, we're not supposed to be either for or against fire, we're supposed to be neutral. And as Sherry Lease, who was the last coordinator of our project, said, she goes, well, when all the fire research says fire, you have to have fire in the Great Plains, what's there to be con? You know, we don't have anything that says, no, you should not burn in the Great Plains. There's no science for that. So even though we're neutral, in reality, it's all pretty much pro-fire because that's the way the science has led us. You've seen this one before. These are the exchanges. I have the extreme fortune of working this whole center region. I love the landscape I work in. Grasslands make me happy. And it's very varied. We start with the mixed cool season grass prairies in the north, and we go down to the coastal prairie down in the south. And I was fortunate enough to be on a fire where we burned into the Gulf of Mexico. And that was just like totally exciting for me. And they were like, what's the big deal? And I was like, man, we're burning off the edge of a continent. You know, this is cool. But everywhere I go, there's something new to learn. I've seen rangelands in Texas that give a whole new meaning to the word brush. From a Kansas standpoint, I had no idea that there were landscapes like that. So our mission is to facilitate managers making sound management decisions based on the best possible information. And we provide input for research and dissemination of research results. We are extremely fortunate to have a large and varied board of directors, and they stretch from Montana down to Texas. There's about 14 of them, and they are invaluable in giving direction to the exchange. So one of the things that I have a problem with is mission creep. Because I'm not 100% on this project, and many of the people running these fire exchanges are not 100% on the project. The other parts of my job overlap enough that it becomes difficult to say where one job ends and the next ends, and the next one starts. So it's difficult to say what part is extension, what part is smoke management, and what part is Great Plains, because they all kind of overlap. So it is one of the things that I continue to work with. We have a lot of the same types of audiences that Joe described. So we have ranchers, we have agency staff, that's up on the Chippewa Prairie up there in the upper right-hand corner. They found a bull snake when we were out there doing our videotaping, and they were like, okay, great, this is what, we didn't expect to find this here, this is really cool. And you know, when you find something like that, something you don't expect, although they knew that they were probably out here, they didn't expect to find them where they found them. Does that change our management? Do we have the information to know if we should change our management? And those are kind of the places where we need to step in and say, here's the best science that we have to help you make that decision. In the lower left-hand corner, that is actually an EPA tour. So like I said, we don't just consider the people out there on the ground, we consider the people that influence what happens out there on the ground as well. We have the same things that Joe talks about. We have field days, we have education, trainings, workshops. We also have a component called virtual tours. Unfortunately, this has been really difficult to get going, but basically there are places that you can't go, but it would be interesting to see what kind of information, what science they're doing and what they're finding out. And this is a website-based application where you can go and there's 360 panoramas, and you go through the panorama and you click on little icons and it will come up and it'll tell you what you're looking at and what the science is there. So again, because we have such an extremely large area to cover, this is one way where we can share information across large geographic scales. We also have an entire suite of what I would call publications, website, Facebook, syntheses, all those kinds of things, just like Joe described. We also have a large video component because, again, video is a good way to get your message across when you can't be there in person. And rather than go over a lot of the same stuff Joe went over, I'm just going to go ahead, and if this works, I'm going to show you a little video clip. of a technique that we saw in Texas. And last week I was in Nebraska, and one of the guys said, man, we saw that thing about how you do these small bale burns, and it just fits perfectly for our FFA. And I was like, that was like, yes, we did it. You know, we moved technology from Texas to Nebraska. So let's see if I can end this. Okay, so what we're going to see is an educational technique for talking about prescribed fire, demonstrating prescribed fire when you can't take people actually out in the field. Okay, so that is... So that is just a small clip from this video, and there is also a publication called Conducting a Small Bale Burn, and we have tried these here at K-State out at the agronomy farm just on a piece of grass. We ran 15 grade school classes through in one morning. Basically, we had two sides, and one was cooling while we laid the other, and then we turned around, and it was pretty fast. About every 15 minutes, we had another class go through. So it does work. It's a great technique. And again, it's just one of the ways that we did not foresee the science being shared. So kind of in summary, we're working both with managers and researchers, and we are the bridge between the two. And we hope to work with all of you in one way or another. And one of the things that's not exactly stated in our mission, but has come to me to be one of the primary things that we do, is I consider us to knit together the fire community. So there's many threads in the fire community, and as I go along, I keep finding more threads that need to be knitted into the pattern. And it's really interesting and a challenging job. And as I see the fire community start to work together, as I see people start to cross agency and state boundaries, and it's really encouraging. So I think you were each handed a piece of paper on fire needs. Has everybody got one? I didn't have enough? Okay. I'll get some made here on the break and get them back out for anyone else that wants to fill one out. Anyway, if you would fill those out, I would appreciate that. And this is part of the way that we collect information back as to what the knowledge gaps are, what we still don't know, and what we still do need to know. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.